And he was Chuck.
And I'm Lou. I'm the one that the hell I can't hear today. Worth the damn.
Yeah, you ain't been able to hear worth the damn for 20 years.
Probably more than about 40 years, but anyway.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've spent the last 5 minutes him putting on the headphones, taking off the headphones. I can't hear you. Come closer to the microphone. Then he takes them off. He says, I hear you better with them. I'm like, you just said you hear me better with them on.
You know what my
When you
biggest
ask for me?
you know what my
Yeah,
biggest
go
pet
ahead.
peeve, you know what the biggest pet peeve
Me.
is my son.
Well, my biggest pet peeve is when Ben's phone. Who said, I can hear you.
Hey, we'll get through it, right?
God, I got some.
Well, I hope like hell when I go back next week. I just got some new hearing aids in, so I got to go back Wednesday to get them adjusted. So hope that will make some difference. Because your mom's been slapping the crap out of me the last few days, last week or two, since I've been waiting for these to come in.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if I'm coming in too loud, please turn down the volume because it is up on my end, so the definitely part of it can hear me.
So anyway, how about that game yesterday? That was a heartbreaker.
Well, I've read a few of the comments on social media, and they run the gamut of we got outcoached, we got outplayed, we played down to the competition. Did we get outcoached? A little bit. But for all of the negative comments, nobody seems to be talking up how good Vandy played.
They came to play, and you got to tip your hats to them. They played a perfect game. They played
Our,
football.
our
I'm happy for
defense,
them.
yeah, our defense, they couldn't do anything to stop it.
Yep. Yeah,
And they made every single play they needed to make.
yeah. There's a quote I learned a long time ago: the hardest lessons to learn are the ones that hurt the most. So we'll just leave it there and move on.
But it wasn't just us, it was a whole weekend of upsets, wasn't it?
You know, Tennessee lost to Arkansas.
And you and I were talking about that game yesterday, saying, man, it shouldn't be a nighttime game. It should be a daytime game. Tennessee's going to wipe the floor with them. And that's what Arkansas,
Yeah.
they must not have got the message. They must not have been talking.
And USC lost last night. So
You know
anyway,
what? And you and I have this argument, not argument, we have this discussion every year. ESPN and all the pundits, they always, every year, they win USC, USC, USC. They ain't done shit in 10 years, 15
yeah.
years. They're not relevant. They're not relevant, but they're not.
Well, you were talking earlier. You sent me this text message about pet peeves. So, what are your pet peeves?
Oh my God, where do I start? Man, I got a ton of pet peeves. Uh, Number one pet peeve, and this is predominantly because I live in Texas. If you're in the fast lane, the far left lane, if you ain't passing the car, get the hell over. Number two about that fast lane, just going 5 miles over the speed limit is not enough. If you ain't doing 20 over, or you're willing to commit a felony, you don't need to be in the fast lane. Just get over. Just a minute. Another pet peeve. Um, the bathrooms at work. So we work in a fairly large building with a lot of people, and so there's a lot of urinals in the front of the bathroom. And so number one pet peeve is people not flushing the toilet. Don't want to see that when you walk up to the urinal. Number two, I don't want to see a big puddle of urine in front of the toilet, in front of the urinal. Which means if you have a short bowel, or if you're suffering from low breath pressure, you need to step closer to the urinal. So I don't want to step into your pee when I get ready to go pee. And I don't want to see it when I go to pee, so flush the urine. Same thing with the commode. I don't want to see what you leave behind. Flush the toilet. If it doesn't want to go down, you can flush it again and again and again and again, as many times as it takes for it to go down. Take your time. Finish the job.
Well, I'll tell you, I know my son very well because the first
Why
thing
is it
he said is exactly what I had in my mind. I knew he was going to say that.
like the fast lane?
Folks, let
Yeah,
me
you
tell
better
you,
put me in.
when you go on a trip with this man, be prepared to hear the MFs and the fingers and all the other stuff because these stupid drivers.
You're dumb. They think when they get in the car, it's just a Sunday drive.
Yeah.
You should be a professional driver out there. You should be checking your mirrors, making sure you got to be driving defensively. I'm always looking at all the cars and all the lanes that are what they're doing. I'm not just enjoying myself willy nilly.
Yeah.
I'm in the car. I'm there with you.
We go to a lot of places and do a lot of things together, and they're a lot of fun. But you know what makes those a good memory for me is our trips to
Watching
and
me get
from.
pissed off. Watching me get pissed off when we drive.
I'll tell you, I sit over there sometimes. I just have to laugh to myself because it's funny. Yeah, because people are stupid when they drive or something. I'm gonna tell you, they just. I was going down the road yesterday. I don't remember where I was going now, but always when I make a turn, I always turn into the left lane. When I'm turning left into that or right, that turn lane, then I'll get over, put my turn signal on, and get over to the other lane. But this guy yesterday, he must have driving a white Ram truck. He must have changed lanes about 3 times. No turn signals. He was in front of me. He gets into the right lane. I was turning left. He gets into the right lane. Then he gets into the left lane. Then he gets back into the right lane. I just said a few words. I just slow down and get back.
But it's frustrating, isn't it? When you're trying to do the right things, stay in the right lane, make the turn in the right lane, use the turn signal, you do all the right things, and then you see all these other people out there not doing the right things, but more importantly, it's inconveniencing you because they're not doing the right things.
Yeah.
Like, take for instance, San Antonio passed a law. Oh my God, 12 years ago, hands free, no cell phone use. You're not supposed to be on the phone, holding the phone while you're driving. Now, I don't know how many times. If I see it once, I see it 6 times every day on my way home from work. People on the road just with the phone right next to them while they're talking. And then while they're on the phone, they're always in the fast lane and they're always going slower than the speed limit. And then some of those people, I call them phantom breakers because they'll just hit the brake for no reason. We peeking out left, one of them right, just to see what the hell's going on because they hit the brake. And I look around them, they're not even hitting the brakes. You know why? Because they're paying attention to this and to what's in front of you. That's probably what annoys me the most about driving is people don't pay attention to what they're doing because you can kill somebody with them. You really can.
Yeah. My, you know, my biggest pet peeve on that, I can deal with the driving and lane change stuff like that, but at the intersection, that traffic lights, they're geared a certain amount of time depending on the traffic. If you're going north and south, and that's the main lane, you're going to have a little bit more time for that versus the east and west, which is not a lot of traffic. But every damn time you get there, somebody in that front one's on the damn phone, the light changes green or the arrow turns green, and they sit there and they sit there. You know, so you're 7 or 8 cars back. The other day I was coming home from HEB. I turned left on the Les Harrison. 9 vehicles ahead of me. It took 2 lane cycles for me to get to that damn light because one, somebody up front sat there, then the other, you always said close the gap. And that is so true. Whenever you're driving, I don't mean you need to be right on their bumper, but you don't need to be 3 car lengths behind and all that space in between. Then you get to, that just drives me nuts when you sit there and you just sit there and you blow the horn, then they give you the finger and well,
Because you're the asshole. Because you're
yeah,
there's a primary effect to what you just talked about. People sitting there at the light on their phone, and only 2 or 3 cars make it through, and half of the people in the line should have been able to make it through, which causes people to run the light because they're frustrated because 3 cars ahead of them were on their phone and they decided to wait till the last minute to go through, and then they're stuck. So then when that light turns red, they run that intersection. So when you're getting to take off, now you have to be on the lookout for the cars that are on the left and the right because they were frustrated and they're running the light, and that causes accidents. So again, people, pay attention while you're driving. There's only one thing you should be paying attention to, and that's the cars in the road in front of you, not your phone.
and to
If the
that
call is that important, pull over, find a parking space, pull off to the side of the highway, take your call.
and to that
If it's
point,
that important,
I don't have the statistic, but I'd be willing to bet a lot of the accidents that occur at intersections is centered around that point. Somebody waits, then you're way back, so the light turns yellow, so you're trying to beat it, and all of a sudden the person on the other side, their light turns, so they take off, and then now you got a collision. You see a lot of accidents, these intersections where somebody in their turn and they get hit by the car that's going in the opposite direction for your turn, and you're right. One of the things that I do every time I go someplace, I always let your mom know that I'm leaving. We just have this thing that we do. If I'm leaving HEB and sometimes I'll forget, I'll pull off into another parking space somewhere in that parking. A couple times right on the corner where the HEB is, there's a parts place. There's been some times when I pulled into that just so I can text your mom and let her know that I'm on the way. That's just a deal. That's it. To your point, pull on the side of the road, use your phone, get back on the road. If it's that important, what's a few seconds or a minute or two of you saving your life and somebody else's life, or in best cases, saving you a lot of money from not having car accidents.
not just the money of the car accident, the inconvenience of having to deal with the insurance companies, the fire companies, the rental car company to get the rental. It is just a pain in the butt to have to deal with.
Yep.
Is super valuable, especially at this age. I'm super busy. We got a lot of important things to do. And then, like an idiot, I piled on more work for myself by enrolling in a graduate certificate program. And then I'm studying for a technical certification all at the same time. I'm like, all of these competing things. And then, on the weekend, watching college football, spend some time with you doing this podcast. Time is valuable. So, and like you just said, if the phone call is important, pull over and focus on that phone call. And, somebody said it last night. You know what? It was that quarterback from Vandy. After the game, he was being interviewed, and I can't remember the woman that was interviewing him. And he was asking him about the game, and he said, wherever my feet were, that's where I was. He was in the moment. Wherever his feet were, that's where he was in the game. He wasn't focused on past, what just happened, 5 plays back, 1 play back. He was focused on the next thing. So wherever he was standing, that's what he was focused on. And it's not the first time I've heard that statement from Coach Prime as well. Be where your feet are at. So if you're at work, be at work. If you're at home, be at home.
So, what's one of your other big pet peeves?
Shoot, man, those are some pretty good pet peeves. Driving, fast lane, um, lights, cell phones, urinals, toilets. I don't want to see what you just left behind. Flush it. Don't want to stand in your urine, so get closer to the urinal. You know, these are pretty big things. I mean, I could go on and on and on if you want. You want to talk about restaurant cleanliness. How many times have you walked into a restaurant and your hair is dirty on the floor because they use dirty napkins? Or you sit down at the table and the table feels sticky because they use dirty water to wipe the tables.
Yeah.
Those are pet peeves of mine too. And you know why? Because I spent enough years in my teenage years doing that kind of work. Dusting tables, mopping floor, washing dishes.
That's true. Well, yeah, I remember when you worked at Pizza Hut, picking you up like at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, you still couldn't get off because you had all them damn dishes to wash and the kitchen to
I was
clean up.
sizzling. I was sizzling. It wasn't pizza. I had pizza. I washed a lot of dishes and made a lot of pizzas. Made a lot of.
Yeah.
What are your pet peeves?
This damn trying to figure out their damn headphones so I can hear. I don't understand. This just in the last couple podcasts we've had where I had this, so it has to be these hearing aids. Like yesterday when you were calling me, was it yesterday we talked or the night the day before? I can't remember.
It was yesterday. It was yesterday.
We're on the phone. Even even last week when we was watching the football game and you sent me that link and we were talking about stuff, I'd be hearing something in my left ear, then all of a sudden it's in my right ear. Then the right ear will cut off and it go back to the left ear. That's probably about, if you have a hearing loss, it's already bad enough that you can't hear, but it's even worse for the other parties you're talking to, because they don't know if you're listening, paying attention or what, and they hear you. Then you ask them to repeat. Then it gets aggravated on your part because you're aggravated because they can't hear you, and you think they're aggravated because you're aggravated at them, which is not true. It's more because of your loss. So I probably have, in the last few years, more understanding of people with disabilities, especially because of my hearing. I'm going to tell you, it's a real pain in the ass when you can't hear something. Or like your mom and I'll be talking sometimes, and I'll say something, but I'm responding to what I think I heard her say, not what she said, but what I think I heard her say. And
pay attention.
But I am paying attention, but I'm responding to what I think I heard, and hearing losses are so different with everybody. Like with mine, it's hearing loss, but it also has to do with the pitch of sounds, and I also have loss of sounds. Like some letters will be more clearer than other letters. Like an A, I can hear better than maybe a B. And a lot of times people don't really understand that. So, and I guess the pet peeve is probably more about me than it is about the people who are around me, or stuff like that, because it's
frustrating thing about dealing with somebody who's hard hearing is it's a twofold problem, because I've been telling you for years, if you don't hear what somebody said, don't just nod and smile like you do, because then the person thinks that you understood it, and then they continue on and follow up, and then you're 5 minutes behind in the conversation because you heard bits and pieces. But to the other person, you acknowledged what they said. If you don't hear it, you need to speak up and tell the person you didn't hear you from hard of hearing.
But see, the other part of that conversation is what I just said. I'm responding to what I think I heard you say, so I think you're saying this, so I'm responding to that. It's not that I'm agreeing
know,
with what
and
you're saying. You know, I'm responding to what, and that's the downside, and that's really the pet peeve part. And like I said, it's not the pet peeve against the person who's saying it. It's about you because you don't have the ability to recognize or understand. You know, because if I didn't hear something, chances are I'll probably say something, maybe not. But you know, a lot of it is I'm responding to what I think I heard somebody say. Yeah, so it, yeah, and that's the thing with disability. I guess that's what another pet peeve. I really don't have a lot of tolerance for people who don't recognize people who have disabilities, and it becomes a part of that, or not a part of, but understand their disability and how it affects them as well as how it affects you. Yeah. So anyway,
what was I going to say? Oh yeah, also with people in with you who can't hear, they'll tell me to speak up or repeat myself, and then I speak louder. You know, like stop yelling. I'm like, I'm not yelling. You asked me to speak up. I'm speak. I'm putting up the volume so you can hear, and you're yelling. I'm like, no, I'm yelling. You know I'm yelling.
well, and
It's not.
that's
I'm not yelling.
and that I guess that's the other part of this conversation is because you do have hearing aids, it picks up the sounds because you adjust them to fit you what's going to be comfortable for you. You know, because your mom and I have that same conversation a lot. You know, she'll say something. I think she's raising her voice at me, so then I get my feelings hurt because I think she's yelling at me, but she's not yelling at me. I just, you know, it's just how that sounds. And I got to give a shout out to the people who do this hearing aid business stuff. This phone right here has been the best thing for me because the VA in the last couple of years have given me hearing aids. It used to, when you got hearing aids from the VA, they were probably not the best quality of hearing aids. They were just hearing aids type thing. But the ones I got now, I can control on the phone. I can have different settings where I can control the background noise. Like we go to a restaurant, or like uh, Sunday when we go out to floors, I can change the environment where I'm hearing more, and I can change it where I'm hearing more directly in front of me to you and Brenda and your mom, and cut out the background noise and stuff like that. But it still doesn't make it perfect, but it's a hell of a lot better than it used to be. Because that's a real pet peeve with people who are hearing loss and stuff like that. That they want to hear everything, want to be involved in the conversation, but unfortunately, they're limited to some of that, and sometimes they don't know how to convey that information across to the people they're with. You know, so. But I give a shout out to the VA as part of that process of trying to help veterans and stuff like that.
And something else that you help me to understand better is, and I'm sure most people suffer from this. When they think a person has hearing aids, they think it makes them hear just like you and I hear, and it doesn't. Like you told me, all it does is just make what you're hearing louder, which means you're not just hearing me, you're hearing everything else all around you. Like the TV, if it's playing in the background, it's loud. If there's conversations going on in the room, you hear them. So everything is just loud in your head, and you can't really focus on that person's voice because everything is loud at the same time. And I cannot imagine how difficult and frustrating it must be for a person who's hard of hearing.
Yeah, and the other thing, hearing loss, there's so many different aspects to it. Like I can understand men easier than I can women, and that's because of the pitch of their sound. A woman's pitch is higher than the man typically, you know. So that's to your point. There's so much to that process. We just need to be more patient with each other. If we did that, and And don't worry about it. Just move on, right?
That's what my wife tells me all the time about driving. She's like, "Why are you getting so aggravated and frustrated? You can't change them." And I'm like, "You're right, but it still makes me angry."
I know.
You know, and we just haven't come to that aha moment yet that she tells me all the time. She's like, "Why do you let it bother you?" You don't know. I can't let it go. Maybe it's because I take driving so seriously because it is a serious thing. And maybe people don't understand that.
Yeah.
Like, you're traveling down the road 60, 70, 80 miles an hour. It's pretty fast. And that car you're driving 3, 4, 5,000 pounds. You hit somebody, that could be catastrophic effects. You, of all people, should know that. The
And,
car accident that you were in did not end so well for the woman that hit you.
and you're so right. And people don't stop and think of how their action, what they do, how it affects somebody else. Because you're on the highway. There's a reason why there's speed limits at 65 or 70 or 75 or 80 on interstates and stuff like that. It has to do with travel and stuff like this. Well, when you're not complying and doing what you need to be doing, you affect a lot of other people. And unfortunately, sometimes it can be pretty tragic. You know,
Yeah.
and
And that
the other
woman
side of
that
that,
had that accident with you, she wasn't going more than 40 or 50.
and the other part of that too is nowadays in society, back to your point about people getting angry, you don't know who the hell's got a gun in their car anymore. When you go down the road and you say something or do something and how they're behaving, and all these gun rage road issues that we have because people are just caught up in their own selves, and it's just makes you wonder
You're
what
so
hell we're
right.
doing sometimes. Yeah,
I recall several years ago, I went on the highway, and then the next to the fast lane, and this car's coming onto the highway, and he's in a big old truck, jacked up really high, and he comes all the way across, all the way across, all the way across. Just misses my bumper. And I'm gonna flip him off. Next thing you know, he's road raging against me. He's trying to run me off the road. I got the hell off the road. I'm like, you asshole that almost hit me. I'm not the one that almost hit you. But a lot of these idiots, they don't see it that way. You have to remind yourself sometimes to not get angry, not look at somebody, not shoot them the board, because like you said, you never know what the hell's going to happen.
that's true.
Even though they're in the wrong, by how they're driving is.
Yep. I used to pick Jordan up from work sometimes at UTSA, and one of the things I learned from her: don't get in a hurry. When she would drive, she'd always get in that right lane, and that's where she stayed, even though it's going to take longer and be slower. And I learned sometimes you're just better off to do that because of what other people's behaviors are that have no respect or they have little respect for the other drivers around them and their behaviors. So sometimes you're better off just let them go do whatever they want to do. And hope like hell they don't hurt somebody else. Because majority of the time that's what happens. They hurt somebody else. They don't get hurt, but they hurt somebody else. They don't understand the impact on the lives around those people.
Yeah, I don't know how many times I'm going down the highway and I think I'm going pretty fast in the fast lane. And I look in the rear view, I check my mirrors all the time. If I see somebody coming up real fast, get over them. I can go. You know why? Because it wouldn't seem for me. If I was coming upon somebody going the speed limit in the fast lane, and then you got like all the lanes are blocked because everybody's all doing the same lane, and I call it driving in like bomb formation. It's like a bomb formation. All the cars are all cluster around each other in all the lanes, and you can't get through or around them.
Yeah. There's a lot to be said about how I grew up, back in the country. you're going down the road. I'm in no big hurry and stuff. There's somebody coming, so you just pull off to the side of the road and let them pass and throw your hand up and wave and go. And they throw their hand up and wave and thanking you, and just a lot to be said about that.
That's what we need a lot more of. If you're doing your own thing and somebody's going faster than you, no longer let them get it.
Exactly.
Let them get
All right,
that ticket if that's what they want to do.
before we have to wind this thing, give us some good news. How many downloads we had?
Oh, man, I haven't even. Let me give me a quick second. Let me
All
log
right.
in. Logging into Podbean where we host our podcast. So you can find us on Podbean. We're one of the many providers that you can find us. You can find us on Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon Alexa. Not a lot this month. Not a lot. But for some reason, on September 30th, we had almost a week of downloads. Which, so when you look at the graph, it kind of skews it. It looks like there's just like nothing across, and all of a sudden you got this huge spike, and then it goes down looking like nothing. But let me change the view. Okay, so this month, just this month, and what's the 6th? So in 6 days, we've had, in the last 7 days, we've had 106 downloads.
Okay.
In the last 30 days, in the last month, we had 176. So we're sitting at just 4,220. We're keeping track of what we normally do.
Well, I guess we're making a little bit of progress. We just need to be a little bit more consistent with what we're doing, right? I'm gonna get some headsets or headphones or whatever the hell I need to do so I can hear better.
Maybe you and I maybe need to do some research to find a headset that works well with hearing aids. Maybe that's something we need to do.
You know what? That's a good thing. Because I'm going to see my audiologist Wednesday, and I go back take these hearing aids in. I'm going to make a note to myself and talk to her because I like her. She's real. Yeah. Everything's, I think, depends on how you react and how you carry yourself. I've had some really good doctors and stuff like that, and I like my audiologist. You can go in and you can talk to her, so like that. So I'll make a note, and that's a good suggestion.
Yeah, so back to the podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Player FM, Listener Notes, Listen Notes, Samsung Podchaser, Boom Play, where else? Overcast, Pocket Cast, Castro, Castbox, Podfriend, and Good Pods. All of these podcast places that host podcasts, when we upload our episode to Podbean, it pushes it out to all of those other providers that host podcasts, if you will.
Before we sign off here, I'll give a shout out to your Uncle Bobby and your Aunt Carolyn, and Uncle Bobby's doing well, and give a big shout out to your Aunt Carolyn there in Georgia, in Alabama now. I guess she's in Phoenix City, so all
and shout out to my cousins Brooke and Shannon, who I didn't get to visit during August when I was out of state in a class in the very state that they had just left to come visit us. And how ironic is it? You leave Texas to go to California, they leave California to come to Texas. Because I know they like to listen and follow along with us as well. And to Kaylee, Peter, thank you all for listening. To mother-in-law, she likes to listen.
Yeah,
so thank you to the tens of people who like to listen to regular basis.
All right, we're about 34 minutes now. Your Aunt Carolyn's gonna send me a text message here pretty soon.
Well, you know what? This is pretty good. We barely talked about Alabama. We can find stuff to talk about. We just got to get a little more mindful of some topics to talk about and involve us to talk about.
Yep. All right.
All right. You take care.
You too. Love you, man.
Love you too. Hey, next Sunday, concert.
Do I?
Said next Sunday, concert.
Next Sunday.
Sunday.
Clint Black, Flores Country
Uh-huh.
Store. Yeah,
Flores Country Store.
that's going to be a good one.
All right. I'll take care, everybody. Thank you all for listening. We appreciate you.
Be good. Love everybody.